The name of this Portuguese band is quite complicated, so I won't even try to pronounce it because I know I'll fail. Anyway, their music is equally challenging but in a different aspect. First, the production, lo-fi, quite dirty and chaotic, finding proximity, believe it or not, with black metal. Second, the music itself, an experimental facet that uses the harsher sound to further deepen a feeling of hypnosis that may arise when listening to these 4 songs, all of which are above average in length. The results may vary. While it's easy to embark on the great psychedelic trip that is Brel, Megadeth seems to reach a point where the concept of repetition to try and achieve that hypnotic aspect is taken a little too far. Periscope and Hit walk a bit between these two states described above, but it ends up being the latter that is more effective. Recorded during the pandemic, this album shows a band with potential.
Return of the British Wounded Not Dead, who present us a technical and quite unusual death metal. Unusual in a good way, in the refreshing sense that makes us look for classic references of the style, such as Deicide, especially at the vocal level, to other more recent, but equally powerful ones like Hate Eternal. And can't we already consider Hate Eternal as classics? Well, be that as it may, The Alchemist features bold compositions as well as technical levels to match. The production is somewhat strange and is perhaps the major Achilles heel of an album that otherwise has everything to impress fans of technical and progressive death metal.
There is a whole class that is transparent to us from the first moment Showdown is heard. A timeless class that has as much of the 80s as it does of the 90s as it does of the here and now. Or it's that same timeless class that manages to touch several points in rock music. The Laverge sound classic and don't even seem to strive for it. The voice, that guitar sound, the riffs, the rhythm, the beat, it all sounds perfect, or almost perfect, for those who don't believe in absolute perfection, and this is a feeling that doesn't fade the more time and attention you give it. Rock, pop, alternative, labels that lose their importance before the impact of this set of songs.
Debut work of this interesting British band. The band's introduction states that their atmospheric sound evokes both Pink Floyd and Porcupine Tree, while also drawing on the groove of Massive Attack, always with progressive rock as its foundation. And while that's a bold description of what they do, it's also quite accurate. There's an alternative, almost indie side to these songs, as well as an ability to make you drift with their sound that is particularly addictive. It's the kind of music that might not impress you at first, sounding like ambient music, but that's how it slowly seeps in and wins you over. A surprising work for those who like to see their progressive rock take different and enticing forms.
There are many reasons to check out this Dieth debut, and the biggest one is obviously the fact that this is David Ellefson's bet after Megadeth. He is joined by Guilherme Miranda, vocals and guitar, ex-Entombed AD, and Michael Lasejko, drums, ex-Decapitated. And if it would sound strange to see Ellefson in a death/thrash proposal, it soon makes sense, since Dieth also demonstrate, since their first album, a greater scope than simple death/thrash. It feels like an embryonic album and an entity still with its musical identity and formation, where it allows us to have alongside heavy themes like the first Advance single, and one of the best themes of the album, To Hell and Back, an unexpected, but beautiful, ballad like Walk With Me Forever. Expectations for the second work and to see what will be the path traced.
Released without warning 2 albums when only one was expected. Step Into the Light is the first to be served on our plate, and it's a proposal that explores the band's more violent and heavy side, with deathcore being largely the main focus, as well as an extreme side that often seems to sound like gore grind, if it had breakdowns, of course. And although this seems like a one-dimensional proposal, which it is, it still manages to be quite dynamic and present a lot of variations. Another interesting factor is that although it doesn't reach the 30-minute mark, it also has the ideal length to make a good impact.
When we talk about Thulcandra, dissection immediately comes to mind. At least it has been so far, something that might even be unpleasant for those who are in an original band, but the Swedish band's influence is also not so insignificant that it can be disregarded in the impact it has had on extreme music, and it is also not the only influence that its sound has always shown. Hail the Abyss is the Germans' fifth album, and it's the one where the band manages to detach itself from Dissection's influence, although we still have here many of the elements, mainly production values, of the golden moments of the band's career. This is an album that feels more its own and not so stuck in influences without exactly denying them. Hail the Abyss is therefore a more discreet album, but over time it manages to win our black hearts. The closing track, The Final Closure, is really one of the best things the band has done.
Sophomore album for the Colombians' Bloody Nightmare that proves that there really is a completely different spirit in South America when it comes to heavy metal. We have a work that sounds classic, proposes to recover that original spirit of the style and does it without sounding forced or even trying to directly copy anyone. They access the source where years before bands like Scorpions, Iron Maiden, Manila Road accessed, and bring something quite refreshing. One of those heavy metal albums that you get lost listening to and you don't even want to know if it's original or not. Because in front of tracks like Poisonous, Breathe the End, it doesn't matter at all. Heavy Metal Addiction of 2023.